Thank you so much for the reminder. I seem to always forget.
And Rebecca won't make it because Andrew doesn't get home in time.
Right, right.
But if you'll send me the recording, I will.
I will send everyone the recording. How about that?
Excellent.
Mike, are we the only new ones, or is there somebody else on that's never done it before?
Let me see. Let me look at my list.
Amy Pollard and daughter are joining.
Yeah, so Amy, our bookkeeper here at Temple Sinai, and her daughter are joining, and they've never done Zentangle before. So we actually have quite a handful.
So
of
excited.
newbies, which is really fun. Yeah, so that's so we have, and your two daughters are both joining, right, Debbie?
I think, yeah, let me call.
So we have 5, that would make 5 newbies.
Okay, hang on, let me make sure that she's logging on.
Which is very exciting, and we're not starting with the basics at all. So we're just going to dive in with both feet.
Hey, are you gonna log on? Okay, she's logging on now.
Okay, great.
Okay, bye. Okay, and let's see.
We're starting with the black
Yeah, we're going to do this black
with the string.
pre-strung Zendala is what this is called. These round ones, like a mandala. It's called a Zendala. So in your packets, you have, I just gave you a bunch of different tiles to play with. We only have 3 sessions, so obviously we're not going to use all of them, but I'm going to work mainly on the pre-strung black, and then I have a tile, the tan Zendala and the white pre-strung Zendala is mostly what we're going to be working on the next 3 sessions. So you have a lot of other things in there that you can play with. And the tools that we're using tonight are your colored jelly roll, that your color, you have all different colors. Everybody has something different. And then I think everybody, I hope, has a white jelly roll pen.
Yep.
And these are really like thick, opaque colors. They go really nicely on a black tile. If you have, I don't think I put them in your kits this time around, but it's fine. Everything that I'm going to tell you, you can use the tools that we have, or you can, there's lots of mix and match options. So if you have a gold jelly roll, you might want that. If you don't have one, that's fine. And if you have a black Micron 01 pen, that's good to have on hand. If you don't have that, you have the dark gray one, which came in your kit. Everybody got a gray one. I don't think you'll need it tonight, but having a pencil on hand is a good idea. These are Zentangle pencils, but you won't need one tonight, but sometimes we use a pencil. You won't ever need an eraser, ever, because there are no mistakes in Zentangle. And if you have any tortillons, your blending stumps, you might want to have those on hand. Again, not important if you don't have one. Q-tips, fingers also work fine. They're just for blending. If you have a white charcoal, I think I gave you a blue charcoal in your kit. I don't think you'll need that tonight, but this is for highlighting. And we'll play with that in the weeks ahead. Just kind of, as you get yourself settled, gather your tools around you. Again, these are the 3 main things that you want to have on hand tonight. And again, I would just say that these are the kind of auxiliary extras you might want to have on hand. And I think it's the only one that's in your kit, but you want the pre-strung black Zendala that looks like this.
Cantor, Rebecca Eisenstein asked me to remind you to please record because she's not able to come tonight.
Thank you so much. We are recording. So fabulous. So welcome. I hope you all have the tools that you need and you're in a comfortable, quiet space and that you're ready to sort of sit and relax and try something creative. We have 5 new tanglers with us tonight. So those of you who have tangled with me before, I may go through some of the, the things that we already know, but it's always worth repeating. Zentangle is a meditative art form. So while we will end up with a beautiful product, it is mostly about the beautiful process. It's our mind frame while we're doing Zentangle, and there is a ceremony and a ritual around it that really helps us to focus on the meditative and the relaxing aspect of this art form. So we start with a brief meditation. So I invite you to find a comfortable seat, sit up tall in your chair and close your eyes for a moment. And let's just take a few deep breaths together, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And again, another deep, long breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you continue breathing slowly and deeply for just a few moments, check in with your body. See if you have any tension, any aches or pains, anything that is physically bothering you, and send some love to those areas. You can't see me, but I'm rolling my head around on my neck right now. I'm circling my shoulders back and down. You may want to do a little twist in your seat to release the tension in your back and spine. Check in with your seat and your legs, your knees, your ankles, wiggle your toes. Give a good stretch. I see John with his dog. That's therapy as well. Good. I see some arms stretching up into the air. That's excellent. Take another couple deep breaths. Let go of whatever was just happening before this, good, bad, or otherwise. And with eyes still closed, I invite you to set an intention for our time together this evening. It could be relaxation. It could be focus. It could be experimentation. It could be artistic expression. It could be joy. It could be quiet. It could be calm. It could be love. It could be gratitude. It could be so many different things. You decide what your intention is for this time. It's your time. This is a gift that you are giving to yourself. And when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes and we'll begin. So that is the first step of Zentangle, is just taking a calming moment, expressing gratitude for this time that we have. Let's take another moment and admire these tools that we have to work with. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, we want to do it the best that we can with the best tools available. So we have these lovely products, but if all you had was a piece of scrap paper and a pencil, you'd make do and it would still be Zentangle and it would still be beautiful. So normally the next step in Zentangle, after focus and meditation and appreciation and looking at our tools, would be a string, drawing something on our tile so that it's no longer a blank canvas, and releases some of the tension about, oh my gosh, what do I put on here? But we have this pre-strung tile. And when I went to go buy more, because we had so many people sign up, they don't make them like these anymore. So these are the last of these particular tiles. So we're going to have fun with them. And I don't usually work on black tiles. Most of our Zentangle is done on white or tan, or even these like translucent tiles that they have now. So I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone by working on a black tile tonight, because everything's in reverse, so it's a little bit different than you would expect. But I had a lot of fun creating this tile, and I think that you will be pleased with the results too. Just a couple of reminders to those of us who tangle often and those who are new. There are no erasers, because there are no mistakes in Zentangle. And so that also means that we should leave outside this space our own self-judgment and self-criticism, our doubts, our insecurities. We will look at everyone's tiles at the end, but it's not a comparison. It's that the sum of the whole of what we create together is even more beautiful than any one tile. So we don't do it to compare, we do it to enjoy the full product of all of our work together. Just be willing to let this be a practice. Whether you're tangling for the first time tonight or you've done it 1,000 times, we are all still a work in progress. So if this tile doesn't come out the way you were hoping, that's okay. You'll try again tomorrow. You'll try something different. Just keep tangling, and then it becomes, the more you do it, the more comfortable it feels and the more enjoyable it is. So, all of the tangles have names, and I will share them with you as we go. Some of them have stories behind them. I'll share them if I know them. And I'll demonstrate a lot of the tangles ahead of time. If you have any questions, you're muted now, but feel free to raise a hand, digital or otherwise, and call out if you have a question. I'll do my best to answer. If I'm, drawing off the camera and you can't see what I'm doing or something's not clear, please do let me know. So, everybody ready to go? Any questions so far? Okay, great. So I'm going to start with my colored jelly roll. So whatever your colored pen is, that's what you're going to use. So go ahead and uncap. I always stick my cap on the back of my pen so I don't misplace it. And I'm going to start with a pattern, my favorite. I told you I'm working out of my comfort zone with black on with color, but I need my comfort tangle of Muka to get me started. So I'm going to show you Muka, but just so you know, we're going to emanate from this center point here. And I'm going to focus on right now going up to where these triangles are that have a dividing line through them. So there's these ones that are big and empty, and then these ones with the lines through them. So right now I'm going to focus on this center point and coming out to these triangles with the line through them. So we're not going to tangle separately in every single one of these spaces. We're going to kind of combine spaces. So I'm going to start with Muka. I'm going to show you Muka. You can always practice on the back, and actually it might be good for everyone to do this because sometimes these jelly roll pens need a little bit of time to get going. And they work better if you go slowly, press really lightly, and hold them a little bit more upright. So Muka is this kind of like a fern frond unfurling. A fern frond unfurling. How about that? And the way we're going to draw them tonight is they're going to start from that point in the middle. They're going to curve up and come around. They have this little bulb on the top. So then you come in close to the line that where you started, and then you carefully follow it back down. And I'm going to have ours kind of come back to the point where we started. So let me show you that again. I'm just going to use this point as our starting point. Muka can go any which way, but here, if we do another small one, it kind of curves up and around. It has this cute little bulb on top. You see there? And then I follow back around the way I came and come back down. Okay, I'm going to do that. So, and the shape is this, it's a bottom to top S curve, if that makes any sense. It kind of comes up and curves around. Muka can go the other way too, but for right now, we're going to all go to the, with their little tops curving around to the right. So let me show you one more time. And then you're also going to have a beautiful Zentangle piece on the back of your tile as well. Up and around. Make this cute little bulb. And then this is called an aura. When you come back close to the line that you started, it's parallel but not touching. That's an aura of sorts. Okay? Everybody feel okay about Muka? Okay, lots of different Muka variations, but that's a pretty standard one. So we're going to start and put a Muka that comes from the center, curves up around in this space here on every one of these divided triangle shapes. Can you see
just
it?
show that little, it's hard to see your string.
Yeah,
I don't know if it needs more light.
I'm trying. Let's try that. Is
Okay.
that better?
I think actually you may be better if you decrease the contrast.
I don't know how to do that.
Something's happening that's good.
There's like a,
better.
So you want us to go into the little triangles with the
Yeah.
line
You
in
can
them?
here. How
It's
about that?
better. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Okay.
yeah, it's much better.
Okay. It was just the angle. Okay. So I'm working from here. Gonna put a Muka in this space and come back down around. So here we go. And sometimes these pens, you have to be a little bit patient with them. Okay, so we got one there. And the great thing about Zentangle tiles, they're small, so we can keep our hands comfortable, turn the tile, and do the same thing in the next space that matches where the divided triangles are. Okay, turning my tile, going to the next area where the divided triangles are. And even though our spaces are exactly the same because this is a pre-strung and you know, very symmetrical, our Muka don't have to be. So we shouldn't feel locked in. Don't worry if yours, you know, in each one are a little bit different. That's what makes it yours. That's what makes it unique. So now we're in our next, so we skip the big triangle, go to this next one with the divided triangles. I also find that sometimes these pens, they don't look like they're going on very thick, and then as they dry, they become brighter. Okay, turning my tile. Okay, and then I've got one more. Okay. So we're going to start with something that looks like this. And then when you're done, we're going to start coloring these in. So again, a really soft, light touch allows the ink of these just to flow on the paper. Just careful of going over it with your hand because it does stay wet for a minute. But we're going to color in this whole muka. Just take your time with it. I find short little strokes works best. And while you're coloring, this tangle is called Muka because of the artist Alphonse Muka, whose artwork I love. He uses a lot of these sort of undulating shapes like this, very graceful and fluid. The women's hair has a lot of this kind of movement. And so the creators of Zentangle, Rick and Maria, are admirers of Alphonse Muka as well. And she uses Muka all the time. And so they try to give the tangles names that sort of say a little bit about them. That's why this is called Muka, Mooka. It's an organic tangle. I've hardly ever done a Zentangle that didn't have Muka in it. It's probably my absolute favorite. Just enjoy how the color kind of blossoms on this black tile. And I was thinking earlier how I can't wait to see all of these completed because you all have different colors. So they're all going to look so different and so beautiful when we put them all together. Just be aware of how you're feeling while you're doing this. Relax your pen grip. Relax your shoulders. Let go of worry. We are quite literally just here to have a nice time. This is supposed to be relaxing and enjoyable. Oh, by the way, since we're coloring this in, if there was anything about your initial strokes that you weren't crazy about, you can do a little adjustment as you're coloring in. And with these pens, once they dry, you can go back over. So if it didn't fill completely, you can go back in and put another layer on, but let it dry first. So part of what's great about Zentangle is when you learn the patterns, you have a collection of patterns, and then you learn over time how to integrate them in different ways. I like to say, how to you sort of figure out how the different tangles play together. So we're going to learn some basic ones tonight, so you'll have a handful if you're brand new to Zentangle. But then, those few tangles you can put together in endless ways. And each week that we're together, we'll learn different techniques, different tangles, play with different tools, materials and pens. And then, you know, at the end of the day, it's not to create something that we're all doing that looks the same. It's to go out and get creative. You know, I used one of the Zentangle videos as the inspiration for this, but then, you know, when I did what they were doing on a tile, I finished it and I was like, eh. So then I went and did another one, and this was what I came up with. I'll show you the original and my practice one when we're done. All right, so we should have something like this. I see most heads down, so I'm guessing we're still working. You need another minute? Okay, so we're going to keep going. We're going to do another round of mukas, same color pen. And these, and this is a good thing to practice because in this particular instance, it won't really matter, but we'll still think about the concept of drawing behind. We're going to make some mukas that are essentially going to go in this space. So they're going to kind of come on this line here, if you can see this line here, and curve around and fit in this space here. So it's going to inhabit this, I don't know what shape that is, this diamond-ish shape here. Let me show you. It's easier to show you than to try to explain. So it's going to come from the same place. I'm going to pretend that it goes behind this one. So same shape. And then it's going to come back down around. Okay, so, and then we can draw them all like we did last time and then color them in, or we can go one at a time. So that we're going to color it in, but just so you can see, that's what's going to happen in each one. So then I'm going to go to this next space here. And put this muka in here. Okay, and go keep turning my tile and filling in each one. So because we're working in the same color, it doesn't really matter, but you can think about that this one that we're drawing now is falling behind the one that we just did before. And again, don't worry if they're not all exactly the same. There's going to be a symmetry to it because they're confined within these pre-strung spaces, and that's enough. So, and I should have mentioned this earlier, but if this new smaller muka is difficult, you know, you can always go back to the back of your tile and just practice, you know, how that feels. You can always flip it over and just do a little test on the back. This one's a more of a C-shaped curve before it comes back around instead of that S shape. And if yours came out different, that's okay too. So once you've got the outline of this next series of mukas, go ahead and color them in. And I promise this is the hardest part. It's gonna get easier from here if you're feeling a little overwhelmed right now. Muka is not the easiest tangle to start with, so my apologies. But I wanted to do it, so here we are. It is, though, one of the first tangles that I learned. My friend, or my son is 10 and a half now. So when he was 2, my friend's son, we were both in like a learning together and apart with our kids, our boys. And so for part of the time we were with them, and then we would be able to have time to ourselves while the kids were in class. And my friend Mel came one day in our spare time. She's like, I found this thing online that I think you're really going to like. It's called Zentangle. And so she started showing me all these different patterns. I was like, that's great, really cool. Next thing I know, we're going to a weekend Zentangle retreat. I mean, it's less than like, 3 weeks later, here we are diving in. And the presenter, her name was Meredith, and she was a certified Zentangle teacher, which now my friend and I both have been for many years. And I think the very first tangle we worked on was Muka. So. Okay. All right, so that looks pretty lovely. When you've finished that, you can cap your colored pen for a little while. Of course, I'm going back in. I'm just filling in a little bit more. I don't really mind if there's black sort of showing through the pen strokes. It's kind of nice. It gives it a little like an etched woodcut sort of a look, but depends on how you want your piece to look. So when you're done, you can set down your colored pen and pick up your white jelly roll. Let's just turn our tile over and get it going a little bit. Sometimes they need a little bit of encouragement. So I just need some little orbs on the back. My pen seems pretty happy. It's ready to go. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to flip back over. And we're going to do some coloring in of the negative space, but our white is never ever going to touch your color. We're going to keep them separate. So I'm going to start. I have this space here in between the big muka that comes up here and the littler one that wraps underneath. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to aura very slowly and very closely. So I'm not touching the lines of the other shapes that I made. I just aura'd it. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to fill it in. Okay, so there becomes this black outline between the colored pen strokes and the white pen strokes. So I'm going to turn my tile. I'm going to do the same thing. And the sizes are going to vary because we're not machines. So that It's part of what makes it interesting. So do that careful aura of that inside space. And then I'm going to color it in. Short strokes, light touch, holding the pen upright. Okay, turning my tile, going to the next one. Turning my tile, aura inside the shape, coloring in. And I really like Zendalas, even though I don't usually do black, but I like the symmetry and the, I always call it follow the leader. You know, once you do it one place, you just do it over and over again in all the other spaces that are similar. If you're going for symmetry, maybe you're not. And if you have something, you know, that comes out totally backwards, upside down, inside out, otherwise, like just make it part of your composition. Just embrace it and figure out how to make it work. Okay. So we're going to keep going this whole, I don't know if it's a pentagon or a hexagon or whatever. We're going to fill in this whole background with white. So next I'm going to look at these little interstices, the spaces in between things. I'm going to look at this little triangular shape in here. So I'm going to follow, not touching, but close by the curve of this top of the muka, and then down into this crevice here. So I'm going to come up with a little curved triangular shape, and then I'm going to color it in. Same idea. Turning my tile, going to the next one, taking a moment, sort of, you know, get centered, figure out what I'm doing next. Turning my tile. Filling in. Okay, so we have something that looks like that. So now I'm going to focus on these areas inside these little curves of the muka. I'm going to keep doing the same thing with my white pen, aura-ing the space, and then coloring it in. Turning my tile, aura the space, and coloring it in. They're coming close to some of the other white areas that we've colored, but I'm not going to have mine touch. Maybe yours are a little bit more separated and you want to connect them, but that's up to you. What we want to maintain is that black outline that's developing. Again, don't forget to check in with yourself. How are you feeling? If you're stressing at all, just take a breath.
I don't have that space.
Okay, then you can
Should I-
put white there.
Should, I have other space
Yes,
that's
we're good.
nearby. Should I wait to do that or
Yeah,
should I
we're gonna
do
we're gonna
that
fill
now?
in all of the space in this area here. So yeah,
Okay.
if you have other space, then you can go ahead and start on that.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. No worries. Does anybody else have any questions so far? It's really great to ask. I'm happy to answer. The answer is going to be, it's great. Keep doing it. But it's good. Please let me know, like, sometimes if you're feeling stuck or, you don't have what we have, I happy to help try to, workshop and figure out the path forward. There is always, always, always a path forward. And it rarely involves scrapping it and starting over. So, okay, so once you've filled in that area, I have one little space left, which are these little triangles of black up here. So again, just a tiny, for mine are very small here. Just that simple gesture of auraing the space and coloring it in, turning the tile, and repeating the gesture. Okay. So that's very pretty just the way it is. There's lots more to do. Okay, how's everybody doing? You need another minute? Everyone looks very busy.
We're good on this.
Can't hear. What'd you say, Amy?
Said we're good whenever.
Okay. Okay. So let's get started with our next tangle. I'm gonna be using my colored pen again. So setting the white one aside for a little while. Don't worry, it'll be back. And we're going to focus now on these larger triangles. We have 6 of them. This does end up looking like a Jewish star. So just a spoiler alert. It wasn't my intention, but it is the shape. So that's kind of how it goes. We're going to do, I guess it's a variation on the Tangle well. And how this goes is we're going to start using with our colored pen, making a small orb in the center of the triangle. We're going to do that on each of these 6 triangles. And we call them orbs because they don't have to be perfectly round. Although these pens are very forgiving, so you can kind of revisit the line if you need to. Okay. So once you've made your orbs, we're going to use a concept. Again, it's this S curve. Let me show you on the back. So here we have our triangle, and you may want to do this too if you want to practice. You have your triangle, you have your orb in the center. So we're going to come, I go counterclockwise. I don't know if it's because I'm a lefty. You can, clockwise works too, but I can't do it for you. So I curve back. I'm coming around the orb again. I retrace the way I came, and then it's that kind of S curve that goes down to the corner. Then I turn my tile. I'm curving around the orb and down to the corner. Curve around, take off, and land in the corner. So you're going to end up with a shape like that.
So I have a question, Micah.
Yes.
My my mukas didn't stay completely in their space because it's hard to see the space.
Yeah.
So I don't have a full triangle visible around the mukas. So when we do the well, should I go behind the muka
Yep.
and go all the way to the corner if the
Yes.
corner is beyond my?
Yes, I have that too. What Amy is saying is her muka here overlapped the corner, if I'm guessing correctly, the corner of this triangle, which mine did too. Yours may have as well. So we're going to have that first line that we draw. It's going to go behind, and we're using the same color pen, so it really doesn't matter. So here, I'll show you that first one. So just pick a place to start. Curve around the orb and come down to the corner. You can even draw right over because again, it's the same color. And come down to the corner. Then I'm going to turn my tile. I'm still working in this triangle here. Same thing, curve around and down to the corner. And curve around and down to the corner. Okay. So let's do that in all of these big triangles first, and then I'll show you what we're going to do to fill in. So this is, you want to try as much as you can to keep going these curved lines in the same direction every time. And that I find that turning your tile helps so that your drawing hand stays in the same position. And again, it's kind of like lather, rinse, repeat kind of a thing. Okay, going over to the next one, curving around and down, curve around and down, curve around. So once you've done that, we're going to sort of reiterate that line, and we're going to fill in with sort of this striping in each of these smaller triangles that we've created within this larger triangle. So I'm going to start by, I'm just using this line. You can really start anywhere, but I'm starting at this tip because it's unobstructed, so you'll be able to see it a little bit better. I'm going to sort of retrace my path, and then when I get to the edge, I'm going to thicken it out a little bit. It just grows a little bit in thickness when you get to the outer edge. And then I'm just going to make another line, that same kind of aura idea next to it, and then thicken out that edge. And just keep going in that space. It's a stripe that has a little bit more thickness out the outside than where you started from. And I turn my tile as I go so I can kind of follow the curve as I'm coming up on this next line over here. So you end up with something like that. And so when we come to the next of those curved lines, again, same thing, just a little bit of thickness down at the bottom. Come to the edge. If you can avoid touching the muka, that's good. If it runs into it, that's fine too. We can, I have a method for addressing that. So I'm leaving a little bit of a gap between my colored pen and the white that we filled in. Again, if you end up touching it, it's not a big deal. Okay, and then for this third section, same idea. So you get this kind of spoking pinwheel kind of effect. Okay, so you get something that looks like that. And we're going to do that on all of these triangles that we created. So this is a technique that we use a lot in Zentangle. It's so kind of the basis is well, a tangle called well, but there are many variations. And then this is kind of a striping that we're doing, but it's also a little bit like a tangle called senna, which we use a lot. Really gives nice motion. It's a great way to get a lot of ink on the paper. Just be patient with the pen and with the process. It does take some time, but that's why we're here. This is the way that we have chosen to spend this time. Okay, sometimes it's good, when you're focusing in so close to your piece, just take a break for a moment, like stop and pull back. Look at the whole as it's unfolding. One 100% of the time, any of the little imperfections that you see when you're staring closely will fade away. You'll see that the whole is beautiful, made by your hands. I say this almost every time. Every Zentangle tile, when you're working on a piece, it almost always goes through the ugly duckling phase where you're looking at it saying, ugh, this is not coming out the way I wanted to. That's when that judgment comes in, that doubt, the negativity, but you stick with it. You quiet that voice. You say, it doesn't matter. I'm going to see it through. And 9 times out of 10, when you finish, you have something beautiful in front of you. And if you don't, it's okay. There's always another tile, another day. And it was just the process and the experiment and the enjoyment of trying something.
Reminds me of mycelium.
Yes, exactly the same strokes as a new tangle that we recently learned called mycelium. Yep, mycelium is based in Senna, and Puyang, the other newish one that we did last time, also based on the same concept and stroke. Yeah, some of these have very funny names. There is a tangle called Puyang. What was it, Amy? The guy's name was like Peter Yang, or
Yeah, it was P Uyang because
P
he's
Ouyang, right?
Japanese.
Yeah, this tangle called Puyang was named after someone who they work with who makes these pens, and so Molly, who also is one of the Zentangle creators, named this other tangle after this guy, Peter Ouyang, and the tangle is called Puyang, and everybody had a good giggle on that one. Okay, I have one more that I'm finishing up here. Okay, we're going to end up with something like that. If you're done, you can take some time, and if any little area needs a little love, you can go back and fill in a bit more. Just sit and admire how it's going so far. We'll move on in just a minute or so. I'm just giving people a chance to finish up. I'm going to go back to my white in a moment. How are we doing? We feel like we can move on? Ready for the next step? Okay. We're going to add with our white pens now. So we've kind of filled in all of the pre-strung spaces, but we still have all of this room here. If you know me at all, it's way too much blank space left on a Zentangle tile. We have to use all available real estate in my my school of Zentangle thought. Not everyone agrees with me, and there is beauty to space left untangled, but I just can't help myself. So I'm going to deviate from my original plan here with, we're going to do a little variation on the Tangle Flux, which is basically a teardrop shape. So it just comes up and around like that. And they often cluster together. They're kind of like a leaf or a petal or a teardrop. Okay, and for our purposes this evening, we're going to start at the bottom, point. We're going to make some clusters of 3. So it's going to look like that. Okay, so we're gonna
So
go,
are
and
we gonna leave them unattached to each other on the bottoms, like
We're gonna-
the way you
yeah.
just did?
you could attach them. I'm gonna leave mine unattached. I'm gonna leave some black space between each of those little teardrops and they're not going to touch the muka or the well on either side. So, but they are gonna nestle in, so I'm not gonna go all the way to the edge of my tile, but I'm gonna make a pretty large teardrop like that. Gonna nestle another one in there. And another one in there. So, and yours may look different, your space might be different. So, and then once we do that, let's go ahead and color them in. Okay, then I'm gonna go to the next space here. So I guess I'm making them, they kind of come to the tip of these other triangles here. I don't want them to go all the way to the edge of the tile. If yours did, that's fine. But I'm using that as a little bit of a guide for how I'm filling the space. Sometimes these pens get a little bit clogged. If you find that your ink is not coming out as smoothly, just turn it over, do some scribbles on the back, or wipe it with a tissue sometimes. And I think right here, I have a little space in between. I'm just going to put a nice little orb right here and fill that in. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that all the way around. And maybe you have 3 every time. Maybe sometimes you have a different number. It's okay. It can be varied. Doesn't need to be all exactly the same. I don't know that I'll put the same orb here. It's not quite the same environment, so I'm going to leave that without an orb. So again, maintaining that little black space in between each of these shapes is an important element to our composition tonight. However, if you end up with some of yours touching, don't worry. There's something we can do about it later if we want to get that black space back. This is funny. It's totally different than what I had originally planned to do here, but I'm very happy with how it's looking. There's something kind of magical about coloring with these light colored pens on these black tiles. It doesn't feel like it's something that should be possible. Just remembering to breathe. Remembering to enjoy. It's not about the product. It's about the process. It's about experimenting, trying something different. Everybody doing okay? Anybody have any questions? Often the silence is the sound of happy tangling. Sometimes when I'm working on a piece, it could be, 3 hours goes by before I look up. I work on a big, what are they, 10 by 10 opus tiles a lot. That could be a whole day till my hand starts to ache and I have to make myself stop.
When you do a tangle like that, do you pre-plan it or do you just kind of let it work its way?
The opus ones, the big ones.
Yeah,
I like to paint the background first. So it's a process, but it's not really premeditated. I'll think about what colors I want. If it's for someone, what I was showing you tonight, Phyllis, we had the themes in mind before I did each of those. So then I picked tangles that would kind of represent the themes. But usually, no, I'll just start somewhere and see where it takes me. I'll start with a tangle that I know well and I'm familiar with, or I'll go
Yeah.
into it saying, oh, I want to try this new one that I learned and practice. It kind of depends. And, sometimes I spend hours and hours on one and I'm like, not my favorite. And that's okay. It was fun to do. It was a fun experiment.
Do you ever have the heart to discard them?
I don't throw them out, but I have, folders and folders and folders of Zentangle ties. No, I never throw them out. That's what storage bins are for.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow, look at this. Okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. We are running out of time. So I want to get to a few more things. Let's stick again. I'm kind of improvising here. Didn't follow my own plan. Um, I want to do something in these little spaces here. In these muka fronds, you may have a different shape or less or not at all. So I'm going to stick with my white for a little while, and I'm going to put some orbs in there. Again, I'm not going to touch them to each other or to the colored space around it, but I'm just going to put just a little, like some pearls in there. So if you have a gold pen, now might be the time to whip that out. If you don't have a gold pen, you can go back to your contrasting color, and all of this, we're getting to like just playing and having fun at this point. You can go back. I'm going to try my contrasting color. If you have a yellow or a lighter color, this might not work so well. You can try, you can experiment. If you have a black pen, you might want to try that. I'm going to go back in with my blue pen here in these spaces, and on top of the white, I'm going to play around with some blue orbs in there. What I was having fun with these orbs is that it starts to make this look kind of perforated, like a lace or a doily or something. And I thought that was really pretty. And then you could even, once that dries, you could even go in and put a dot of gold inside of the layer. So you could have 3 layers of ink if you wanted to. Might be overkill, might not be. You could go into these tiny spaces too and add a little orb. It's just about texture and detail. I think maybe I'm gonna go back with my white and fill in these orbs here. So you have something like that. So let's go and do a little shading. Hopefully everybody has a pencil of some kind. I can't remember if I put Zentangle pencils in your kit. No, you have the charcoal pen, the blue charcoal, which I'm not sure you want to use that, but if you any regular pencil will work. So grab a pencil. And I'm just gonna, on the white of these, what you call them? Flux leaves that we did. I'm just gonna put a little bit of pencil in the tips, the little corners. And it doesn't seem like much, but it does give a little bit of depth and shading. You don't have to put the pencil on the black part because that won't really show up too much, but it definitely shows up on the white. And I sort of use the side of the pencil tip, get a soft blend. And if you have a tortillon, you can use that to blend, or you can just use a finger or a Q-tip. It just kind of marries it into the paper a little bit more. If you don't have one of these, you can just smooch with your finger. I'm also going to put a little bit on the white in the center here. Very hard to see on the screen here, but does that help at all?
Are you going over the blue or just over the white?
I was just going over the white, but if you go, it's ending up on the blue, and it's not a big deal. Just want it to feel darker in the center, as if it's kind of emanating out. If you have a white charcoal, you could try the blue, I guess. I'm not really sure how that would work. If you have a white one, you could go in and add a little bit of highlight on your colored muka. And again, if you have a lighter color, it might not show all that much. So this is just optional and not critical, just fun things to do to keep playing. So I'm just putting a little bit of highlight in the center. I'm not going all the way to the edge. So you could do something like that. And again, if you had gold, you could do all kinds of things, but I'm gonna leave this.
The gold actually didn't show up very much.
Well, yeah, it depends on how you're using it. So what we do to finish our tile, if you have room, oh, I just wanted to show you a cool thing. If you have a black pen and you had a space where you wanted your lines to feel a little bit more separated, you can go back in and draw in the separation. You know, if it was too hard because the pen was too thick, you go in with the black and poof, there it is again. So that's a really fun way you can sort of sculpt your lines with the black pen. So that's just one thing I wanted to show you as a technique if you're working like this on the black tiles. There's a lot that you can do with the black pen with the colored inks. So actually, if you use your gray or your black pen, it might be fun to make your chop. Your chop is the way of identifying your tile in the mosaic. It could be your initials, it could be a symbol, it could be anything. So I'm just going to stick a little chop right in here. Okay, like so. And then you can flip it over. I would go back to one of your colored pens because the black will not show up. And you have these lines down here, which you may have drawn over like I did, but you can put your name. You can put the date, it's the 2nd. You can put that it's Zentangle at Temple Sinai. And if you want to remember the names of the tangles, we did Flux is here. We did Muka. And we did a variation of well over here. The back sort of becomes a piece of art itself. So before we finish with our mosaic, I just want to show you a couple of other variations. So this was one that I did as I was getting ready. So I used the smaller spaces on this, and this is a really cool pen here in the background, this shiny, it's a glaze, and it kind of just gives texture. So that was really fun. I liked that. I'm going to save those and give those to you at another time. And then this one was kind of what I thought I was going for tonight, but I ended up changing it. But what you could still do is I really liked coloring in the background, because then it's sort of like, was it a black tile? Was it a white tile? So you can see it's basically the same, but having that background filled really changes it. You can see I did more Muka instead of these big Flux here. So just slightly different look. And this is I filled in with gold. So I thought it showed up kind of nicely if you wanted to embellish that way. But I'm really happy with how this came out. So I'm going to take my pin off, and if everybody would hold their where do I go here? Hold their card up to the screen. Yes. Oh, wow. Fabulous. Stunning. Oh, these are beautiful. Oh, I love all the different colors. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, my newbies, how was it? Was it like overwhelming, or was it fun, or hate it, never doing it again?
It was a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And the more you do it, the more comfortable
It looks like
it gets.
batik.
It's like batik. Yeah.
It looks like batik, but
Yeah.
it blends or blurs in the camera.
Yeah. I love it with the purple. The colors are so great.
Yeah, wonderful. And there's a little gold in here, but it's not.
Yeah.
It was not effective. I should have
Okay.
used the green.
Yeah,
well,
I
good.
actually started with the gold and then I was like, you can't see this. And I went back over it with the pink.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about experimenting.
Micah, I
Yes.
felt like at first, you were right though. I was getting a little discouraged and I kind of just kept going with it. And then I look back, I'm like, wow, it actually turned out nice. So I'm glad I kept going.
Right.
Good, good. Yeah, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. It is a little overwhelming at first, and I threw a lot at you all at once. So, because
And never compare yourself to Micah because Micah's stuff always looks
Never,
so perfect
never.
and
No.
so like everything's all like symmetrical.
I did 3 other tiles in preparation, so you had no idea what was coming. I had a plan, so that it gives me an upper hand to like, how to approach everything. So I highly recommend if you like if it was fun but it didn't quite come out the way you wanted to, try it again. I think you have another black. Do you have another black Zendala or is that the only one?
No, that's the only one.
Oh, never mind. You can't do it quite the same way.
have
And
a
don't tangle on
square.
your other Zendalas. You could use the black square. If you wanted to play it some more, you could use the black square. I don't think I'm going to teach a class with that. I just gave you that to play with. So
I, at the dollar store,
Yeah.
found 2, they're thick pointed, but I just used the gold on this. It's like a rose gold and a
yeah,
gold, dollar store.
nice. Yeah, there's
Nice,
other
Alice.
tools out there.
Good tip.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay,
All right,
I'm gonna go
everyone.
have dinner. Thank you.
Enjoy. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you next time. Thank you.
You as well.
Thank
Bye,
you, Micah.
Joe.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.